The story of the first sheikh. The principal sheikh said, "Incredible Ifrit, realize that this gazelle was my uncle's girl and my close family. I wedded her when she was very youthful and lived with her for almost 30 years, yet Allah conceded me no kid by her. So I took a courtesan who, by Allah's approval, gave me a man-kid as lovely as the rising moon, with fine eyes, meeting temples, and wonderful limbs. When he had become a kid of 15, I was obliged to travel to a far city on a significant matter of business. You should know that my uncle's girl, this gazelle, had been started since adolescence into divination and the legend of charm. By the craft of sorcery she changed my child into a calf and the slave his mom into a cow, and put the two of them under the consideration of our crowd. Quite a while subsequently I returned from my excursion and requested my child and his mother. Then my better half said, 'Your slave is dead and your child has escaped I know not whither.' For a year I stayed, made by me extremely upsets distress, with the tears ever in my eyes. Then, when the yearly banquet of the Day of Penance came round, I shipped off, bid my group pick a very much swelled cow for me, and he brought me one. However, she was my courtesan beguiled by this gazelle. Then I pulled up the sleeves and skirts of my pieces of clothing and, blade close by, ready to forfeit the cow, yet unexpectedly she started to groan and sob plentiful tears. So I halted and requested the crowd to forfeit her. He did as such. Yet when he had excoriated her, we found neither fat nor tissue on her, yet just skin and bone. Then I apologized that I had forfeited her. However, my contrition was of little consequence, and gave her to the crowd, saying, 'Present to me a very much fatted calf.' So he got me my child the similarity of a calf. At the point when the calf saw me, he broke the rope that held him and hurrying to me moved at my feet with moans and tears. Then I had feel sorry for on him and shared with the group, 'Present to me another cow and leave this alone.'" Right now in her story, Shaharzad saw the methodology of mourning and carefully fell quiet. Then, at that point, her sister Duniyazad said, "Sister, your words are sweet and delicate and charming to the taste." And Shaharzad replied, "Without a doubt they aren't anything to that which I would tell both of you tomorrow evening, assuming I were as yet alive and the Lord figured great to save me." On this, the ruler said to himself, "By Allah, I won't kill her until I have heard the remainder of her story." Then the ruler and Shaharzad passed the remainder of the night in one another's arms, till the Lord left to sit in judgment. When he saw the wazir approach, conveying under his arm the winding sheet bound for his little girl Shaharzad, whom he accepted currently dead, the ruler expressed nothing to him except for kept on regulating equity, raising some to office and corrupting others, until the fall of day. With the goal that the wazir was dove into perplexity and the limit of bewilderment. At the point when the diwan was finished, Lord Shahryar got back to his castle. Also, when the subsequent night had come, Duniyazad told Shahrazad, "Sister, I ask you finish for us the story of the traitor and the Jinne." To this Shaharzad replied, "With my entire being and as my obligation is, in the event that the Lord allows." The ruler said, "You might talk." "Also," she said, "it is connected, O lean toward ruler and admirer of equity, that, when the vendor saw the calf sobbing, his heart was mellowed and he shared with the group, 'Pass on this calf to eat among the cows.'" The Jinne was powerfully surprised at this unusual story, and the sheikh, expert of the gazelle, proceeded, "O expert of the lords of the Jinn, my uncle's little girl, this gazelle, was looking on and shared with me, surely we should forfeit this calf, he is stuffed flawlessly. However, for very feel sorry, for I was unable to decide to forfeit him, and at my request the group took him once more and disappeared with him. On the following day, as I was sitting in my home, the group came to me, saying, "Expert, I have something upbeat to tell you, uplifting news deserving of reward." Unquestionably, I answered. Then he said, "Extraordinary traitor, my girl is a sorceress and has gained enchantment from an elderly person who lodges with us. Yesterday, when you gave me that calf, I carried him with me into the presence of my little girl, and barely had she seen him when she covered her face with her cloak, first sobbing and afterward snickering. At last she shared with me, 'Has my value so fallen in your eyes that you let peculiar men like this come into my presence? Where are these odd men?' I replied. 'Furthermore, why have you sobbed and afterward snickered?' Then, at that point, she said, 'This calf with you is the child of our Lord, the traitor, however he is beguiled, indeed, both he. Also, his mom, entranced by his stepmother, and it was the calf appearance of his face at which I chuckled. What's more, assuming I sobbed, it was for the mother of this unfortunate calf, killed by his dad.' I was enormously dumbfounded by these expressions of my girl and hung tight with anxiety for the first light that I could come to tell you. Then, at that point, powerful Jinne proceeded with the Sheikh. Hearing the crowd's words, I went out with him, smashed without wine for delight of seeing my child again. When I came to the group's home, his young little girl invited me, kissing my hand, and the calf came and moved at my feet. Then I asked the crowd's little girl, 'Is what you say of this calf valid?' And she replied, 'Indeed, Ace, to be sure. He is your child, your heart's pleasure.' Then, at that point, said I, 'My delicate, supportive kid, assuming you convey my child, I will give you all the steers and the products your dad holds for me.' She grinned at my words and said, 'Expert, I might just want to take these wealth on two circumstances, the main that I wed your child, and the second that I have your leave to beguile and keep whomsoever I wish. Without these things I can't deal with any consequences regarding the benefit of my obstruction against the detestable crafts of your better half.' Strong Jinne, when I heard the expressions of the crowd's girl, I replied, 'Be it so. Also, further you will have the wealth which your dad holds for me. With respect to my uncle's little girl, you might discard her life as you wish.' At the point when she heard me say this, she took a little copper bowl and filled it with water, talking wizardry chants over it. Then, at that point, she sprinkled the calf with the water and summoned him in these words, 'Assuming Allah made you a calf, stay a calf. However, on the off chance that thou craftsmanship charmed, return to thy previous shape, by the beauty of Allah the Most High.' Even as she talked, the calf, starting to shake and to slim, got back to human structure. I hurled myself upon him in a long hug, and afterward I requested him in the name from Allah to let me know how my uncle's girl had treated him and to his mom. So he let me know everything that had occurred, and I said, 'My child, Allah, expert of fates, has raised up one to save you and re-establish your freedoms.' After this, great Jinne, I wedded my child to the crowd's girl, and she by sorcery expressions entranced my better half, transforming her into this gazelle which you currently see. Passing by here I saw this astounding dealer and, asking him what he did and hearing what had occurred, plunked down to watch the occasion. Such is my story. Then, At that point, the Jinne cried, "Your story is sufficiently heavenly and I award you benevolence for 33% of this blood." After this the subsequent Sheikh, expert of the two greyhounds, approached and said, "O powerful Ifrit, assuming I let you know the experience which came upon me from these two dogs, which are my siblings, and in the event that you find it more sublime than the story you have quite recently heard, will you award me leniency for 1/3 of this man's blood?" "Definitely, admired Sheikh," addressed the Jinne, "on the off chance that your experience be to be sure more heavenly." So the subsequent Sheikh started.